Hey everybody, once again back it's the incredible Ryan Animal, the Weekly Static. My name is Ray Fluke, television beat writer, and I'm a bit of a mood today, which is kind of good because we have 5 very interesting topics for the Weekly Static. The Weekly Static, for those of you who are new, and welcome aboard, what we do is we take a look back at 5 topics from the previous week in Bleeding Cool's television coverage and offer you kind of an interesting, unique, maybe sometimes even piss you off perspective on some of the hot topics that are going on, not just in television, but in the pop culture landscape. The Weekly Static team consists of myself, Margo Staten, Bat-Murr, Rocky, and Trejo. So this is a collective group effort. However, I am the pretty face of the team. They're not here to hear that, so I get to be the one who delivers you all the fun stuff. So here we go. We're going to be starting with number 5, which is Mark Henry, Hulk Hogan in the WWE. Apparently, there is rumor going around that Hulk Hogan is going to be making an appearance at WrestleMania, and as of late, and the WWE and Hulk Hogan have both been making a point of kind of dialing that back a little bit. But it's WrestleMania time, so of course, as long as Hulk Hogan still has a skeleton that you can attach a goatee and a headband and everything to, and if you can still throw him into the ring to do a leg drop, everyone's going to want to see Hulk Hogan come back. It's just kind of how it is. It's a revival theme, I guess you could kind of say. But Mark Henry has a bit of an issue because for those of you who don't know, Hulk Hogan's very interesting things to say about black people on a recording that came out during trials and depositions and all that fun stuff. So Mark Henry's pretty much with the mindset like, you know what? Hulk's got to do a couple more things before he's able to come back and be nice in the locker room, no matter how big he is. And I think Mark Henry has a point. It's been one of the recurring themes we've had here in the Weekly Static, which is we've seen a long lineup of old white guys saying that Hulk Hogan has done enough and he should come back. Yeah, that's great. A bunch of old white guys clearing another old white guy doesn't really go too far. I think you need to listen to Mark Henry, and I agree with Mark Henry says. I think just like in Congress and other areas, I think you do have that conversation, that group coalition amongst not just black wrestlers, but I think a lot of wrestlers of color, and I think it's important, and I think they do have conversations, and I think Mark Henry's speaking for them. So I'm not saying Hulk Hogan shouldn't come back. I'm not saying he should be beaten up forever for the things he's done, and Lord knows the guy's got a laundry list of stuff in his life. But yeah, I think you need to listen to Mark Henry. I think Hogan needs to be listening less to Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler and listening more to Mark Henry and what Mark Henry has to say. So that's number 5. Number 4, I don't know if you've heard this, but apparently somebody by the name of Stormy Daniels appeared on a show called 60 Minutes with some guy named Anderson Cooper to talk about some dude named Donald Trump. Now, the only way this is honestly new to you, it's not even living under a rock, it's not living in a cave, it literally would have to be you're living a completely different universe. Yeah, Stormy Daniels got disgustingly huge ratings for 60 Minutes on Sunday night. We were attempting to live blog it, but lo and behold, there were so many people attempting to live blog it, we essentially had our live blog blow up, and we ended up having to go old school type, like updating site live, but that's beside the point. But Stormy Daniels delivered the largest ratings that 60 Minutes has seen in some time, especially for Sunday, because The Walking Dead's just been killing overall, both not just in the current ratings, but when you stretch out the long ratings and you extrapolate it out and all that stuff. But yeah, 60 Minutes got huge ratings for Stormy Daniels, who I thought came across credible, I thought came across honest. I think they got a lot of good points across the board. And for those of you who are saying, for whatever reason, why is this news? Why is this news? I hope you caught the parts about campaign finance and election finance issues and laws and potential irregularities and illegalities there too. So again, there was a lot to it. I thought she came across credible. I will always ask the question, who pays off $130,000 as a lawyer and doesn't expect to get some kind of compensation? And I know I generally don't pay people lots of money to stay quiet about stuff I didn't do. So again, shadiness, this isn't a political thing, this is a common sense thing. If you change the D's, the R's, and everything like that, you should still have the same question marks. It's just Donald Trump is just being John Edwards, being Bill Clinton. So in that regards, yeah, Donald Trump needs to be hung out to dry. So, but congratulations, 60 Minutes. Congratulations, Anderson Cooper. I still, however, miss you like when you were Anderson Cooper Katrina days. So, yeah, just want to say that. That's number 4. Number 3, Hulu has decided to pass on their adaptation of Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez's Lock and Key, which surprises me on a number of levels. One, because it just seems like to be a series that's really built for streaming service adaptation. It's an amazing series. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. Also, I was really surprised because It director Andy Muschietti, who's connected with it and who directed the pilot, is also really involved with it. So I thought on a couple levels, Hulu I thought would like to get into the It business, because with It 2 coming out not too long from now, it'd be kind of good to be in his good graces if you're looking to kind of have him do additional work. Secondly, we're talking about Joe Hill, which means you can argue a pseudo connection to Stephen King, but you are kind of sort of getting into the Joe Hill Stephen King business. So I don't know why you would pass up that opportunity either. I think that's really, really odd. I'm very glad to hear that it's being shopped around to Amazon, to Netflix, to Apple, and to a number of other places. I think it'd be crazy to not pick it up. Hell, Amazon, we know, is on a spending spree. They've spent like $1.5 billion just on Lord of the Rings and that Chinese science fiction book. I don't even want to state it wrong, but you saw in Bleeding Cool, you'll see it. They're already spending $1.5 billion on it. So we know Amazon's willing to spend money, and they're willing to spend money to lock creative into exclusive contracts. And then, of course, there's Netflix. And we know Apple's got more in their pocket right now than a lot of major nations have currently in their gross domestic product. So curious to see where this ends up. I don't see Lock and Key going without a home for too long. At least I'm hoping not, because I've been covering it. I like a lot of the buzz that's been around it, and I think, again, it's one of those series that has a ton of potential. So that's number 3. Number 2, Roseanne is back, ladies and gentlemen, with 18 million viewers. Couple thoughts on this. One, we are in a revival craze. Just look at Will and Grace. We see the success that Will and Grace has. People are nostalgic for things that they recognize. So kudos to them. It is no surprise. The tone and extent of the series and having the main character being pro-Trump, I honestly don't have an issue with. I'm trying to divide the person from the show. If the show is going to be an Archie Bunker type show that's really going to address serious and strong issues, then I'm going to be honest with you, then everybody right and left is just going to have to calm the hell down, in all honesty. Because some of the people's reactions that I'm seeing on here after one episode, it's like, you would have hated All in the Family. You would have hated what Norman Lear was trying to do with that show because you wouldn't have tried to give it a chance. Now, having said that, I am concerned about Roseanne's off-screen attitude and political slants and some of the conspiracy things that she's kind of fed into the last couple months. And let's be honest, you can't help but wonder, is this a PR ticking time bomb for ABC? The more success that Roseanne seems to get, the more loose and off the handle she seems to go. So I'm curious to see where this lines up. I do think this could potentially be a problem for the networks in the sense that I think the networks might be seeing this as look, this show is getting a lot of blue collar Trump supporters here, so we're just going to start offering a lot of that programming. And I'm afraid the networks are going to see this as a short-term survival tactic when it's not. In the long run, streaming services and everything else are always going to win out. This may buy you time, but in regards to advertising monies and things like that, you see the wave where things are going and how the evolution is building. But I will say this to the other networks. You need to make sure that you're programming for all demographics. Your idea is not to programming, unless you want to say up front you have a political slant to your programming. You need to make sure that between far left and far right, there is a large expanse of people who are looking for fun and good programming. And I think there's too much so far to be read into the Roseanne thing. That it's not a sign that there are groups politically that aren't being represented, just like I think it's being oversold that somehow this is the Trump show. Little common sense. Let's see where things settle a couple weeks from now, a month or two from now. We already know the show's been renewed, but it is a long road between now and then. So let's see where things go with that. So that's Roseanne with ABC. That was number 2. Our number 1 is probably going to be sacrilegious, but yeah, it's opening day. Well, it's opening day time. Technically, yesterday was opening day. By the way, side note, if you don't watch the Dan Le Batard Show or listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gatz, either on ESPN Radio or when it's simulcast, you missed something great yesterday. It could not have been better planned. They've been just ragging on the Marlins because of the whole thing with Derek Jeter and everything else. And it just was the game, the afternoon, they were on, first pitch, Chicago Cubs hit a home run, and Dan Le Batard's call to say, that's it, and thank you, I hope you enjoyed Marlins coverage for the season, was just classic radio. That's, to be honest with you, one of the rare enjoyments I get out of baseball, because I'm going to own this. Major League Baseball has just got, I used to like it when I was a kid, but now it just, it feels like it takes 8 hours. The announcers are I would love to have Brockmeyer, Hank Azaria's Brockmeyer do the announcing, because I just find it painful, and yet I'm a hypocrite, because I get excited for opening day, and I'm excited for 6 games. So I'm 6 games, and then I basically take a hiatus until the playoffs. I just can't. It just seems like it is slow and painfully tedious, and I'm sorry. There are just weird things about baseball that I just don't understand. It's like we constantly will bring up fighting and hockey, but yet we'll wink and nod at the old baseball tradition of throwing a 98-mile-per-hour hard object at somebody's head because you didn't like the fact that they celebrated too much their home run. Here's a crazy thought. Don't throw them pitches that they hit home runs. Now, again, I'm sorry. Congrats to all of you who love baseball. Awesome. I'm glad you guys got your season together. I will see you at the 162nd game and when the playoffs start. I just got to wrap it up right now. Unless baseball would like us to do, let's say, cut it down to 16-game seasons like football. Imagine how important every game would be if there were only 16 games in Major League Baseball. Just something to think about that everyone is going to crush me for if you're listening to this. I'm just going to get, but that's okay. Because it's almost football season, so there we go. Guys, thank you for joining me for the Weekly Static. Sorry if I seem a little, screw this. I'm not apologizing. I seem a little amped up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. 5 really cool topics. Best and brightest of Bleeding Cool. Our writers have done some really great stuff over the past week. So thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Ray Fluke, television beat writer. Got some really cool stuff coming up this weekend, especially on Sunday. We're going to be doing the Beverly Hills Dog Show, doing a live blog on that. We've got the Walking Dead live blog happening Sunday night, of course, as we get towards the end of Season 8. And coming up the next week or so, I'm going to have some cool coverage coming from the Tribeca Film Festival in New York City. So I hope you guys can join me. But that's it. Thank you for joining for the Weekly Static Season 133 edition. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you on bleedingcool.com. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for joining me, folks.